Wow, what a band. I think somebody described them one day as adventurous, and I can believe because that's what it feels like. When I think of like some of their songs, it's just like, yeah, I feel like I'm on an adventure, some type of adventure. Doesn't have to, it could be war, right?
I feel like I gotta go, like I got this magic ring, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta go to this volcano with an eye, and I gotta drop that shit in there.
Sometimes you just gotta do that.
Sometimes it's just like that.
Some days are harder than others. But yeah, super adventurous. I don't know. I can remember first hearing Zeppelin and just knowing like this is what I've been missing. Like, why haven't I been hearing this?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just it just seems, Robert's voice just seems so sincere. Like, even with all that belting and this and that, like you can just hear that he's not trying to do anything that he's not supposed to do,
Right.
Yeah. So
He's just living it.
yeah, it's like crazy. It's really, really crazy. Let's talk about, for a quick second, what about Led Zeppelin's Groupies? They don't turn on them.
Not even the swordfish girl turned on them.
Not even a swordfish girl. Not even a 14-year-old. Like, that's just 14. And Jimmy was like 27. Like, that's a big difference. That's huge.
I don't remember what comedian it was that was talking about this, but he was like, how talented do you have to be for us to not care?
Yeah.
About the fucked up shit that you do. Because there's like a gradient. It's like somewhere like, I don't even know, like a lesser artist. If it was, I'm trying to think of an example, like
Andy Dick.
No. Like if Eric Clapton did that,
I would be pissed.
we would be fucking done with him.
Chop his head off.
But Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page were just so good that apparently nobody gives a fuck. And it's like documented. It's not like this is hidden.
Not at all. And you could like interview these women now and they'll be like, yeah, so I was like 14 and I was a teen model.
Me so well.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, those groupies do not turn on them. Like, some people need to call those groupies or maybe their granddaughters or something and just figure out what the classification is, because some people get turned on big time.
So at this point, after they put out Led Zeppelin 4,
yeah,
things just start to get more and more wild.
Yeah.
Right? Because at this point, now they're like one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yes.
Now, instead of going and touring clubs around the country, now they're selling out Madison Square Garden. Mm-hmm. And shit just keeps getting more wild.
Yes.
And this is when the story about them selling their souls to the devil comes in. Because this is when we didn't make up this theory, but we've seen some things on it, right? So the theory is, and I'm not saying I believe this, I'm just explaining it. The theory is they all sold their souls to the devil around this time, besides John Paul Jones. Because I guess he's just a good enough guy that nobody would believe that he did that. But they say that around this time, like when they were really about to get huge, that's when they sold all their souls collectively to the devil. And that's when shit kind of started getting bad for some of them on a personal level. Mm-hmm. But there's a fallacy in that, because if you give it enough time, something bad will happen eventually.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ridiculous to say, well, after this point, some bad things happen, so obviously they sold their soul to the devil. That's kind of a stretch, I feel.
Right.
But you know what? For the purpose of this, we should just act like they 100% did.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. They did it, guys.
All right, so after they let the devil come inside of them, they decided that they were just gonna be wild. So what happened was, this is when things started going bad. Robert got in a car accident.
Yes, broke his legs.
He broke his leg. I'm pretty sure he almost died.
Yeah.
He got into a car accident, survived. And then, not even a year after the car accident, his kid died. Mm-hmm. Do you know how his kid died?
Some stomach flu type of thing. He wasn't doing too well, and then his wife called 2 days later, and he was dead.
Yeah. So that's what happens when you sell your soul to the devil.
It happens.
All right, people?
Yep.
Remember that.
Don't do it.
So after they sold their souls to the devil, Robert gets in a lot of personal issues. Jimmy gets real deep into the H.
Yep. Jimmy picks up the dragon.
and he's chasing it.
He's chasing it big time
for a long time.
Oh shit! He still calls himself the dragon. He's probably got a clause. It's like, okay, I'll let you get sober.
That's why he started wearing those dragon suits.
Yes, because he was one.
It's all a metaphor for heroin. All of it. But and then John eventually died. So so that's why they say that around this time is when they sold their soul to the devil, because shit started going haywire in their personal lives.
Yeah.
But the thing that's crazy is that they continued making music this whole time, and it was still fucking great.
Yeah.
They'd never let it like get to them, really.
Yeah, that's amazing, especially with like Robert and his son dying, because that's just a lot. Yeah. And yeah, that's a lot to just turn out a song. But then it's like almost like, well, what else are you gonna do if that's how you emote? Then like, of course you're gonna make a song. Yeah,
it's either that or you're just going to be depressed forever.
Yeah.
That's basically the only options.
Yeah. And like, so now, I mean, when people talk about Robert Plant, how he doesn't really want to talk about these days and stuff like that. Well, it's just like, it's very, very tragic. It's like your child. And it's like when you're that young, because I can remember being like in my 20s, and when like little nieces and nephews and stuff like that are around, like they make you feel younger, like you feel like a little kid and stuff like that. So for one of those to just like die, like, and it to be like your own, that's like crazy. And so, and he's so much older now that back then seems like a lifetime ago, especially if you're a grieving father and you want to kind of put it, you'll never get over it, but you want to like heal from it. But you can't, because like that's the biggest part of your life. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And every year, just like every new year, a sucker's born. Every new year, a Led Zeppelin. Let me stop. It's born. But for real, they get fans all the time now. You know what I'm saying? So, him like having to think about his child, like that's his legacy, and his best friend who he convinced to join the band, who didn't even necessarily want to join the band, and who always used to miss home, and that's why he used to get drunk like that, like, and be that belligerent. John Bonham used to really prefer to be home with his wife and his family.
Yeah.
Some days he really didn't want to work, because like after a while it becomes like work, like, you know what I mean? Well, it is work.
For
like,
sure.
You know what
Especially
I mean?
if you're on tour and you're thousands of miles away all the time. And
right.
You can't really get a good night's sleep because you're on the fucking bus and the food isn't great, all that stuff. Yeah.
So like you got to think about that. It's like I know what my memory is like, and I would remember my best friend saying, "Oh, I don't really feel like doing it," and me persuading them, and then them freaking dying. Like I know he's not the cause of the death, but I know I would never forget that. So
because who's the cause of the death?
The devil.
The devil.
The devil did it. Gosh.
The devil is responsible for everything bad in the world.
Yes, he is.
Like Led Zeppelin not being around anymore, and it is crazy. I was actually thinking about this the other day, not even for this necessarily, but like it's so crazy to me that as of today, July 25th, 2021, every member of Led Zeppelin is still alive but John Bonham.
Yeah.
So they could still be making music.
Yeah.
If he didn't die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy because it seems like for us, like like the time of Led Zeppelin seems like a whole other era. I mean, it was before we were born.
Yeah.
So like it's wild to think that the only reason that era had to stop is because he died. Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's a shame. It really is, because it's like they would have definitely made great music, and they can't duplicate that with another person. Like, like, because that person, they just don't have the camaraderie. Like that's just what it is. And
they don't have that brick foot.
Exactly. Who knows? Like, you know what I'm saying? John Bonham probably could only play like that if Robert was singing. Like, you know what I mean? Or could only play. We know that's not true because we've heard Bonzo solos. So, but I mean, it's just a shame because it's true. And they're not only are the three surviving members alive, but they look well, like, and they're functioning, and they're not all like, no offense to the Oz man, but they are not like Ozzy, like,
That's because he was the only one in Black Sabbath that sold his soul.
Oh my gosh.
So he got all of the negativity.
He definitely did. He kept his full hair though.